should I have like a 0
Welcome to Media Path. I'm Fritz Coleman.
And I'm Louise Palanker.
In the torrent of new content that explodes out of all media platforms every week, we try to cherry pick some that are worth your attention. And we also have amazing guests as well. This week, we have two ladies who have made enormous contributions to the planet. One as a public servant and successful political leader in Los Angeles, Jan Perry. She's now the executive director of Shelter Partnership, which is deep in the fight against homelessness in Los Angeles. And we also have a lady who has been a pioneer in women on film, Joyce Chopra. She's a producer and a director of both documentaries and features. She earned great notoriety at a time when men dominated the field even more than they try to now. She's written a wonderful new memoir about banging her head against a glass ceiling called Lady Director. Joyce will be with us in a moment, as will Jan. But first, Wheezy, what do you have?
Oh, Fritz, I've been watching. Have you watched TV? You should try it. I've been watching on the TV. You probably on your tablet or on your phone even. You could watch Netflix. And I saw this week a Jasmines Blues, and I'm going to tell you about it. A Jasmines Blues is especially close to the heart of Tyler Perry because it's his first screenplay, the first screenplay he ever wrote 26 years ago. At long last, his partnership with Netflix has brought it to life. In 1987, an unsolved murder compels an elderly black woman to grab her cane and hike into town where she deposits a purse full of letters onto the desk of a bigoted Southern lawmaker. As he reads, we travel back in time to the Deep South in 1937, where a boy called Bayou falls in love with a girl called Bucket. Tyler Perry's tale of forbidden love and family intrigue unspools 40 years of secrets and lies against a soundtrack of juke joint blues, and it pulls back the cover on a hidden world in which certain light-skinned blacks might endeavor to escape the agony of racism by passing as white. A dangerous practice fraught with its own brand of terror and heartbreak. Jasmines Blues stars Saleha Pfeiffer, Joshua Boone, and Amira Van. It's loaded with glorious juke joint scenes and sounds, and the story just grabs you by the soul and stirs vigorously. Jasmines Blues is on Netflix.
I can't wait to see it. My friends have recommended it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
It's just so compelling.
Sounds like it's right up my alley. My selection this time is the movie Amsterdam. Now, reviews of this film have been mixed, but I thought at the very least it would be like a masterclass in acting. You got Christian Bale, you've got Robert De Niro, you also have John David Washington, Margot Robbie, Mike Myers, Michael Sheen, Chris Rock, even Taylor Swift, who does a really reasonable job acting.
It's so reasonable.
No.
You're like, well, not.
No, but you know, you lower your expectations for rock stars who are put in a costume.
That's your best compliment of Taylor Swift.
There you go.
Okay.
This is supposed to be a 1930 screwball comedy. As the movie notes in the first frames, it's based on a true story, but a story that few people are aware of. Three people meet in Europe during World War I. They are Bert, a down-on-his-luck doctor played by Christian Bale, Valerie, who is Margot Robbie as a nurse, and John David Washington, who plays a lawyer. They all land in Amsterdam, where they spend time recovering from the war and forging a close friendship. In 1933, they all settle back in the U.S., and that's where the hijinks begins. They all get roped into intrigue when Liz, the Taylor Swift character, mysteriously convinces Bert, again a down-on-his-luck doctor, to do an autopsy on her dead father. Now, it's billed as a comedy. There's slapstick, there's mildly funny humor, gorgeous cinematography, but the movie doesn't really start to make sense until Robert De Niro shows up in the last third. He plays a retired general. And this is where the movie begins to shed light on a little-known event in American history about the rise of fascism in the 1930s. All of it is done to reflect on the current threat to democracy as we approach the midterm elections. The point it makes is interesting, but you might get impatient waiting for the point to show up. But I liked it. Amsterdam is good.
Wow, well, you've got me intrigued as to the point.
So happy to introduce my friend here. Jan Perry served as LA City Council person in the 9th District for years. That area used to be known as what's called a food desert, and Jan was one that helped to enact restrictions on fast food restaurants to make people who lived in that area have the ability to buy healthier diets. She also served as general manager of Los Angeles Economic and Workforce Development. She's currently the executive director of Shelter Partnership. This is a nonprofit organization that is deep in the fight against homelessness in Los Angeles. Since its creation in the 80s, Shelter Partnership has distributed nearly $300 million worth of goods to 250 homeless shelters in Los Angeles. I also serve on the board of Shelter Partnership. Very proud of that. We are the largest warehouse facility in the United States serving homeless needs. Jan, nice to have you here.
Good to be here. It's nice to see you both.
What
I love
breed
your
of dog
set.
are we hearing in the back? Because I thought you were disagreeing with something I was reading about.
You know what? He hates it when I get on Zoom.
Oh,
Oh, no, I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do the best we can.
Oh, no, it's we're just glad to have the chance to talk.
We want to meet Doggy if he wants to be on your lap
Okay, yep. You can, yeah.
Next time.
next time.
So, Jen, homelessness is
Yes.
turning out to be maybe the biggest issue in the LA mayoral race. Whoever gets elected,
Right.
that will be the issue that will prove their worth. You agree?
Yes. Absolutely. And it has to be the one who has the plan that makes the most sense and that the voters believe can be accomplished. And they have to speak to how to implement, how to fund, what the thresholds are that they have to meet and within what time frame. This can't be theoretical. We've run out of time. We are beyond the tipping point of the number of people who are living on the street in tents and in encampments, and in some cases just right out there in the open. And, it's not good for the people who are on the streets either. It puts their lives at risk. They're subjected to untold violence. It shortens their lifespan. And if they didn't have mental health issues before they got there, the longer they stay out in the street, the greater the likelihood that they will develop mental health issues.
That's an interesting point. And while we're talking about that, are there any little glimmers of hope that you see in the solution of this problem, like the development of transitional housing or the transition of abandoned hotels? Is there anything you see out there that looks like it might work on a larger scale?
Well, there's no one solution that will work. And there is so much to be done that any effort will move the needle even slightly in the other direction. People have their favorite approaches. You may be reminded of the encampment that was in front of the Veterans Administration over there on San Vicente, and then they moved everyone inside the fence, and they had the support services inside there with a grouping of what are called tiny homes. While they had a bit of a blip on the screen with an accidental fire, it was a good structure to immediately get people off of the street, inside the fence, in there for services. There were hygiene facilities, laundry facilities, and then to recreate a community that was safer and more stable so that you can begin to, if you will, minister to people or administer services to folks and to be able to pull them back in the other direction. That's just one example.
Well, folks tend to look at homelessness as something that should be easily solved by the correct party. If the correct party were in, like the problem at the border, like these problems should be easily solved. And they are complex problems that are sometimes could be seen as a symptom of a greater societal problem. Every homeless person has a different story and has different needs and a different reason why that they are currently without a home. Can you help people better understand the complexity and the compassion that's necessary for us to even approach solving this?
Well, start with this compassion. Would you leave your own family member to live out there in the street? I wouldn't. So you have to start from that perspective, that everything you do, the resources you direct, should be intended to get people off the street and into help and into recovery. And it starts there. And a lot of folks are out there for a number of reasons. You'll rarely find someone who's out there because they just lost their job. It could be they lost their job and they've got other things going on. You can call that a dual diagnosis or a multifaceted diagnosis. Some people are vets who, are trying to recover from PTSD and haven't gotten into a very structured situation yet. people who are victims of sexual violence or violence in general. Women who've been beaten, people who have addiction issues, and of course, people who have mental health issues and have just, fallen through the cracks of our society and our provider network or our continuum of care, if you will. And so they need help, they need structure. And while we deliberate, they continue to suffer, and the community suffers as a whole.
You've probably been asked this question before, and it may sound completely naive to even ask it, but when we see somebody who's on the street and asking for money, should we give that person money, or should we hope that they would be better served through one of the programs that's providing help?
I'm gonna be very blunt with you because I have been asked that question a lot. Giving somebody who's on the street money actually doesn't do that much good for them, but it might make you feel better. It makes you feel better. It's like when the people drive to Skid Row and they open their trunk and they give people sandwiches and then they go away. Did they advance their cause? I don't think so. I used to tell folks, if you really want to help folks, go rent space in the James Woods Center, which is right in the middle of Skid Row, make a hot meal, and then bring some social service providers in there and start providing services to people who've come directly from the street so that they can get help. Don't just drive in and drive out. That doesn't do anything. Same thing goes with the money. You give somebody some money. So you gave a homeless person some money today, and then what? There's no what after that. People need services. They need structure. They need somebody they can follow up with. If you have a favorite provider, you might ask them for their business cards and keep them in your car. And instead of, giving people money, give them a card and say, call this number for help. And there are a fair number of people who live on the street who have burner phones. Okay. So there is that ability to find a way to communicate, to call for help.
Well, this issue is part of your consciousness every single day of your life because you're executive director of Shelter Partnership. Discuss the business model. I'll tell you what drew me to Shelter Partnership. I've been hosting their events for 20 years or so. Was the brilliance of the simplicity of this organization. With very few staff people, they do this huge amount of work. And describe how that works, Jan.
So, as you know, you've been out to the warehouse. So the warehouse is out in Bell, California. It's 105,000 square feet. And we do have a small staff, but they're very focused and very, very experienced. We receive new goods, unused, not for sale, from the private sector, from corporations, from family-owned businesses, and we distribute them throughout our network of about 300 social service providers in and around the county of Los Angeles. I was just on a call yesterday with some of the staff, and a group was expressing an interest from the Inland Empire. So we have a little relationships building in Ventura, something in Orange County. So the word's beginning to spread, and we're sort of the ground zero for providing these new goods, not used goods, but new goods that are not for resale, to support organizations who actually have clients who are unhoused.
Yeah. So you have a company like Gillette or Procter & Gamble that have changed their packaging or their logo. And really, most of the time, the product inside the packaging is exactly the same as it was before, but they clear them off the shelves. And so they decide they'd like to donate 200,000 razors to Shelter Partnership, and then we sort of supply them to the homeless shelters. It's wonderful. Or mattresses, or just daily living things, bedding, clothing at Christmas time, toys. And it's a constant flow of stuff. And we look for partnerships from two places, from corporate. If you have a company that has a product that sort of meets the description that we're talking about, we'd love to hear from you. Or if you're an individual that understands the need and feels helpless in your work on homelessness, let us know. shelterpartnership.org. Anyway.
That's great. No, you captured it very, very well. And I kind of look at it as we're part of that human infrastructure delivery system with the connectivity to all of these organizations. and we're the hub, and you're seeing that graphic right now.
Now, do you have you can choose to pass on this question, Jan, but do you have a mayoral candidate that you think is better suited to address this problem?
You're funny. Hard pass.
Hard pass. Okay.
Not get. Hello, I work for a nonprofit.
Got it. Okay, so I can say vote.
We
for
love
Karen
everybody.
Bass. Vote for Karen Bass.
Okay. Well, it's your podcast.
It's my podcast.
You can do whatever you want, but we love everyone.
Homelessness in the United States has increased like 30% since 2015 or something. So how about LA County? Has the increase been as severe around here?
Yeah. In case you haven't noticed.
No, I have.
Yeah, you have. So I've got a few stats here. So we have roughly 70,000 homeless residents. Over the last 5 years, the number of folks in LA County has increased by about 20,000 people. It was 50,000 in 2017. It's 70,000 in 2022. And as you know, we are constantly the national news because of this disaster. And just a little side note, some of the fastest growing demographics in the community are people who are LGBTQ plus people ages 18 through 24 and older adults over the age of 65. So we've got issues on both ends of the age spectrum, young people and older people who are quite likely on fixed incomes and are being squeezed hard in this market.
So we've got the boomers coming up. That's a large group of people who are getting into the 65 plus group, and then we've got kids who maybe kept whatever their wiring is. They kept it under wraps so that they could live out their childhood at home. But now they have the internet and ways to express themselves and recognize who their actual truth,
right.
who they actually truly are. And once they express that in sort of a certain type of a household, it's considered like not a non-starter, and you're going to have to leave. So that's what I heard when you said those two demographics.
Yeah, yes, and that's exactly why I brought it up, because it's growing rapidly, and there are some good providers, and I can't name all of them, so I don't want to forget one,
right?
But that are targeted to people who are LGBTQ plus, in an area where younger people tend to congregate. Just on the edge of Hollywood or into Hollywood. And then for older adults, we have to just keep building housing that is affordable for people on a fixed income. And we have to move faster. We're not moving fast enough.
Right.
I just want to mention before we run out of time that there's never been a greater need for the services that Shelter Partnership provides right now. And like other nonprofits, COVID tagged us. Because the irony is that there was never a greater demand on the services we provide. And then there was never a greater strain on the services we provide because of homelessness in the COVID environment. So I think it's just straight up important for me to appeal to you. If any of this resonates with you, go to shelterpartnership.org. You can make a donation of any size. We have lots of opportunities. We have social events coming up. We got a bingo thing. We got all kinds of stuff going on. Check it out. You might want to be a part of that. But I think if you, like a lot of the population in Southern California, feel helpless about this, and every day you drive in an underpass that seems to increase in its population, this will make you feel empowered to help Shelter Partnership, because it is a direct line from your philanthropy to the homeless situation. We hope you'll give us a view.
That's right. Thank you, Chris, for saying that. We get a lot of philanthropic funding, and we solicit private donors and just regular folks. Everybody helps. And, when you help us, we're able to help thousands of people just stabilize their lives and get on a road to recovery. You'd be surprised what just getting a dental hygiene kit can do for someone's quality of life or their health. their confidence and their self-esteem, or to have a clean set of clothing so that you can go to a job interview and really get back on your feet. So everything is geared towards helping those who are already helping a client base and putting people on a road to recovery.
Well, you're doing a great job, lady. You've only been in that job for a year, but your experience in navigating the political environment in LA has been so helpful in helping us be successful. So Thank you for what you do, Ms. Jan.
You're welcome.
And go to shelterpartnership.org for information. If you're a company there's no minimum that a company can donate, right? You have to give thousands of mattresses or something. You can just give a little amount. It has to be non-perishable, though.
Yeah, yes. And of course, donations of money are always welcome. Mm-hmm. And there's no limit to that either.
Okay.
All right.
We'll talk to
you guys later.
Okay,
nice
bye-bye.
to meet you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Our next guest has produced and directed a wide range of award-winning work, films that have been seen in theaters and television and festivals all over the world. She's had amazing accomplishments like Joyce at 34 that we're going to talk about. This is a documentary she started during her 8th month of pregnancy as a massive example of self-abuse. It's about the conflicting demand of juggling a new baby, a career, and a marriage. The film was so groundbreaking that it's part of the permanent collection at the New York Museum of Modern Art. She did Girls at 12, an interesting documentary on PBS, and a fiction film that won a grand jury prize at Sundance starring Laura Dern and Treat Williams called Smooth Talk. And the Lemon Sisters, with two of my favorite humans, Diane Keaton and Carol Kane. And she has a new book out that we're going to talk about that will drop the first week of November. You can pre-order it right now. It's called Lady Director, Adventures in Hollywood, Television, and Beyond. Joyce Carol Oates says, Joyce Chopra has written a devastatingly frank and unsparing memoir of her life as a film director, a woman director in a field notoriously dominated by men. The reader is astonished on her behalf, at times infuriated, moved to laughter, then to tears. Lady Director is one of its kind, highly recommended. Joyce Chopra, welcome. We're so happy to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. I loved hearing all of that praise.
Does any of that ring familiar to you? Anything in your introduction?
I'm going to tune in every day to have you read
Fantastic. Listen, you were born in Coney Island, New York.
That's right.
Talk about your love of films germinating in Saturday matinees when you were a child.
Oh, that's how I spent every weekend. My older brother would take me to the movies while my mama cleaned the house. We were kicked out of the apartment. And I could talk a lot about my mother, in fact, when you think about what she was a school teacher, 3rd grade, and this was in the in the 40s, and she would get up and probably at 6 a.m, make our lunch, get on the subway, go to work, come home, go shopping, cook, clean, prepare her next day's lesson. I can't imagine how she did it.
When you talk in your book about that scene in Joyce at 34 where your mom is having her fellow teachers over, and
yes.
you asked the question, how did you juggle parenting and having a career? And I think the reason the scene stands out is A, you asked the right question, but B, these are all teachers, so they know how to present themselves. And when they spoke, it was beautifully. And they were saying things that I don't think had been said out loud before in public about experiences that all women have if they attempt to be a mom and have a career.
I distinctly remember the question. They got together probably every other month. They were all retired, as you said. And they would show pictures of their grandchildren and just gossip. That's what it was about. And these are women who'd had lunch, 30 years every day in the lunchroom for teachers. And I asked, did you ever feel conflicted about working and being a parent? They had never, ever once talked about it. That
Really?
was so they exploded in that conversation you're talking about.
Right.
Just exploded.
Right, and they're each so good at expressing themselves because they spent their career in front of people, speaking to
I know
little.
I never thought of that. Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
but some of the points that they made about how if I stay home, I'm depressed, and that's not good for my kid. If I go to work, he misses
That's
me,
right.
and that's not good for my kid. And she put her hands down on the table. She said, "I can't win."
She said, whatever we do is wrong.
Right, right. And so, and I don't, and Dina, our producer, was talking to me about that scene before the show today, and she said, nothing's changed. The whole point is that your childbearing years are right in the hub of you when you would be launching yourself into your career. So biology dictates that these two things are going to struggle with one another.
No, you're right. Occasionally I'll be at a screening and afterwards young women will say, do you have any advice for us? I don't know. No, have a husband who will share in the work.
Right.
And luckily I did. I mean, it took a little bit of arguments, but even then I did most of the work. It always would wind up that way. I was the one who would think about what are we going to have for dinner tonight? What are we going to have for dinner? That wouldn't occur to him, but he would be happy to clean up or cook something. But
you were the point person on the home front.
It really didn't enter his mind.
It didn't. And every person is different. Every couple is different. And, and every marriage is different. But at least it felt like he was open to hearing you.
Yes, he was. He was indeed.
And he was super handsome.
I'm sorry, I have to point out, I was extremely lucky. He was a writer. He died a while ago, but that meant he was home so that he could be there, even though he had a study that was his own and he had to write. But that was really extremely lucky to have that.
And also a gift for your daughter to know that he was nearby.
Yes, she had a daddy. Yeah.
Well, before we discuss your very interesting film career, let's talk about your very interesting life before your interesting film career. You graduated from Brandeis University and started Club 47. This is 2 blocks from Harvard Square. It was a music coffee house where people like Joan Baez and Bob Dylan played at the start of their careers. You have to have some interesting stories or encounters during that period of time.
Well, I had wanted to be an actress. I went to a school in New York called the Neighborhood Playhouse. Mm-hmm. And I was living at home with my family. And I loved them, but I wasn't used to being at home. I'd been away for 4 years. So I began to get anxiety attacks taking the subway into Manhattan. And I didn't know what they were because nobody ever talked about that. But, this New York subway train would suddenly stop in the middle of a tunnel. And you could sit there for a half hour and no way to get out of the train. So anyway, I lasted about a half year. I went back up to Cambridge, Mass. Brandeis is about a half hour away from Cambridge. Anyway, I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't want to be a secretary, which was about the only thing I could if I learned dictation, maybe I could get a job as a secretary. Anyway, I ran into a classmate. We said, let's start our own business. And it wasn't going to have music. It was just going to be a place where you could come and hang out, and we'd have newspapers or whatever. And then a friend just came, do you want us to play? A musician said, do you want us to play opening night? We said, oh, that would be great. So we started out as a jazz club. We were a jazz club for about a year. And it was I tell it in the book, a very pleasant person came by and said, the daughter of a friend of mine is a freshman at BU who's a folk singer. Oh, no, we don't do folk music. We're a jazz club. And he said, well, would you at least just listen to her on the night you're closed Monday night? So, okay. And so this young, how old was Joan? Probably about 18. This young girl came in with her long black hair, and she went up on our little stage. And her voice in that space, is just extraordinary. So we hired her to do Wednesday and Thursday, our slow nights, for $10 a night. And that's how we came to hire. She sang there for about 2 years. And one by one, all these folk musicians started showing up, and it just built out of that. Wow. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it was a complete chance.
well,
I
it was
guess.
it was the time, and that sometimes circumstances meet the time and meet the location, and boom, off you go. So I wanted to talk a little bit about documentary filmmaking, because when you come into it, it's kind of default for you because it's not what you wanted to do, but it was right at the time where, as you describe in your book, people could put a camera on their shoulder and follow someone around. So you come in halfway through the making of a film called Primary. Can you talk about that?
I have to place it for your people listening. This was 1960. And I had been trying to get a job. I had no idea how to do it. I didn't think to go to Los Angeles because I had never heard of a women director. I really didn't know of any. And there weren't any books about it. So I went to New York, and very traditionally, I slept on friends' couches, and I had a long list of names, and I was just about ready to give up. And somebody said, well, I'm going to send a recommendation letter. Go and visit my friends over at blah, blah, blah address. And I said, I didn't say to this person who was a good documentary film director, I said, I didn't want to do documentaries. I wanted to do fiction film, but it was the only opportunity I had. So I wandered into this place, and the guy came out very harried, and he was named Penny Baker. I don't know who the hell he was. And he wasn't known then, at all. He and another few other people had. Okay, should I give a whole background about handheld cameras? Because I could go on and on about that if you'd like.
I just thought it was fascinating that before that film, this had never been done, and I just think it
You're
was
right.
cinema verite starting in the United States.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, what Penny Baker, Leacock, and a guy named Bob Drew did. Until then, cameras were very heavy, and they were on tripods, and they did very traditional filming of public events, let's say. And Penny Baker and Leacock used transistors to make the cameras portable enough so you can put it on your shoulder and have a tape recorder that was separate from the camera. Mm-hmm. That meant you could follow people. Now, when I looked at that film, I didn't know Penny Baker said, here, I'm busy, sit down and watch this film we just finished called Primary, about the Kennedy-Humphrey primary fight in Wisconsin, 1960. I look at it, and he comes in, and I don't know what to say to him because I don't know why it's special. I took it for granted because in features, you see cameras following people through rooms. Mm-hmm. So I was tongue-tied, but he hired me anyway for $50 a week. And it was the beginning of a revolution in documentary. And what you see on TV, all reportage is using handheld cameras.
And Penny Baker shot the 1968 Monterey Pop Festival, which was the explosion of Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. And that's an iconic piece of filmmaking.
Absolutely. He's done great films, yeah.
Yeah, but it got you started. It's how you learned how to edit. It's how you learned how to create story. And a lot of great skills that you acquired through documentary filmmaking, correct?
Well, yes, I immediately was taken with editing. There's something I just understood you could, well, it's like word processing, really. It's the same thing. You can move your words around, you move your images around, you get different results. It's great. It's wonderful. When the material is good, it's great fun.
Right.
What lessons did you learn working in his apprenticeship?
I don't know that. What did I learn?
But I mean, did his style affect your style later on when you were?
Yes,
director?
well, of course, yes. Now that I think about it, well, Joyce at 34 is a variation on what they were doing, and that way that came about. You're referring to the film about. It was a year in my life when my baby was about to be born, and it goes through the first year. But I think I may have been the first to do a documentary about a quote private person. I mean, when you look at all the films that Leacock, Penny Baker, Bob Drew did, they're all public events, political, musical events. And when I told Penny Baker, he thought I was crazy. What are you talking about? Who would be interested in a woman having a baby? It was just unheard of. So it's the same style as handheld camera. Except mine was more controlled. I knew what I wanted to film, whereas something like Primary, the first film we're talking about, you're not controlling what you're just following those characters. But still, I can't be more specific than that. But it was a little radical that you would do private people. And I followed it with a few more films about these 3 12-year-old girls.
Oh, I love that. That was beautiful. And the idea that to a man, that not that we're all different, okay? All humans are different and we're all across gender spectrums, et cetera. But like to a guy in the film industry, the only important thing would be to get up close with something grand, to give people an up-close look at something grand. And as a woman, you're saying, no, there's beauty in the unique, in the personal, in the intimate. There's beauty here. And you're talking to 50% of the population that would be like, yeah, I want to see that movie. I want to see these girls. I was a 12-year-old girl. Yeah.
I tell you, there were no distributors for films about women. And I luckily, again, it's just a coincidence of things coming together. I found out about these other women who had just started a co-op called New Day Films. I don't know if you know about New Day. When did I made this in 73. So in 73, there were other people who had made documentaries about women, not many, but a few. And they happened to meet up at a festival. And they said, nobody wants our films, but we know there's an audience. So they started their own distribution.
Right. You talk about that in your book. Yes. Okay.
And I joined it. And what it meant is we collaborated on putting out, well, this is a co-op that started out with maybe 7 or 8 of us. And it's now probably got 150 members. And it's not just about women anymore. It's a whole range of subjects. But we each had to do our own publicity. I had to carry film cans to a library. If I wanted to mail them, I would, let's see, am I in this picture somewhere? Here I am.
Yeah.
There, that's me. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes, Julia Reichert, who's won 2 Academy Awards by now.
Thank you, Thomas, for finding that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and but it was thrilling just to know that some library wanted to purchase my film, and I would pack it up and go to the post office, and I loved it.
Now, I wanted... Yeah, go ahead.
Nothing else. That's it. That's New Day.
I just thought that, we could travel back to the dawn of film, because everything that I've read about it and documentaries that I've watched about it, women are playing like kind of key roles in the silent film era. They were, they were happy to have women direct at the dawn of silent films when the role seemed secretarial in nature and maybe an extension of writing the story scenarios. But once men saw the power and the money potential in film making, women were pushed to the side. Talk about that dynamic a little bit, because I find it so fascinating.
Well, I only know about it superficially in a sense. Certainly when I started, I didn't know there'd ever been a woman director. There weren't any books about it. And it was only I don't think people started writing about that until the 1990s even,
Wow.
Louise. I've been researching it. It was astonishing. Yes, early directors right through the 20s and 30s. And they directed Katharine Hepburn, you name them all. They were all being directed by women. Not all, not all the time, but women
often enough
were directing. And then you're right, somewhere in the 40s, it all changed.
It's marginalized.
Now we know that there's a lack of female directors in the fictional narrative type movie, but how is the balance in documentary films? Is it less or more, or
it's probably more than equal. No, I'd say it's equal. But to start with, there were very few. I also, in the book, I say there used to be an important film festival for documentaries called the American Film Festival. And they would have categories, and it was a big deal to win the blue ribbon in your category. And the year I did Joyce 34 with Claudia Weil as a photographer, I won the blue ribbon. And there was an article, I think it was in Variety, reporting that for the first time, half the awards, blue ribbons, went to women. And then the person concludes, but this will never happen in features because there's money involved, and documentaries don't involve money, usually don't.
Wow.
And so...
Yeah, it continues.
But lately, do you find that streaming, thank goodness, has provided more platforms to expose documentary films? Because I can go a whole week and just watch documentaries on Netflix
it's
and Hulu.
wonderful.
Yeah, it really is.
It's great.
I don't know if it's any more lucrative for the documentarian, but it certainly is great exposure.
No, it's not. They're usually...
You don't make money.
You don't make money. You spend money, and so you have to find funding. It doesn't make money, but they certainly are a beautiful art form, and they're certainly celebrated, and there's space for them in streaming media, which, in celebration of them. So people, like with music, people will continue to make music and documentaries whether they make money or not, just because of the joy of creation. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to talk a little bit about your 1985 feature Smooth Talk, because you experienced great success and acclaim, winning at Sundance, and then you met with the wind turbine of the Hollywood studio system, and you talk about it very artfully and graciously in your book, but you also don't really hold back in terms of talking about the individuals that were responsible for marginalizing you or pushing you aside or mowing over you. And it's heartbreaking for the reader. So
it was heartbreaking for me.
Yeah. So give us a little thumbnail on what all went on.
Oh, here's Lauren Treat. Hi.
Yeah. What a cutie. Yeah.
Well, it was a wonderful opportunity to make that film. And that came about because of a TV program called American Playhouse. You guys remember that one? Mm-hmm. On public television.
Yeah.
And that was for independent films, and they put up the most money they could, which was about $500,000. You had to find the rest. But it allowed me to make this film. And it was great because they didn't interfere at all. They were ideal producers. I mean, just supportive, doing everything right.
Public television, over and above the Ken Burns phenomenon, but you have like POV, you have independent lens, and Frontline, to me, is one of the greatest news documentaries ever. The PBS does some of the best documentary work ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was, and I still have, I'm going to skip way ahead, but in the last 10 years or so, I've been doing documentaries that are on PBS.
Yeah.
That I've sort of come around, but it's, I'm in my 80s and I'm glad I could still work.
Is that part of the BY Kids program where you have...
That's right, By Kids.
Yeah, yes. By Kids. Okay, I didn't know how it was pronounced. But talk about that. It's fascinating. And you've been all over the world doing this.
Well, through friends, I met a woman who had started a nonprofit called By Kids, and initially she had Ford Foundation money, and the whole idea, it doesn't sound very original, but the way she was doing it worked out well, is to get people like me to basically work for free to mentor young kids with cameras and help them make a documentary about what she would say globally relevant stories, but indeed they were. And the first one I did took me to India to a school for tribal girls. And I'll test you the way I was. Do you know what tribal girls are? Or you've read my book, so you know.
only from the book, but I asked my husband, and he really is pretty articulate with world cultures, but he had not heard of it. So I think it's important.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, it is amazing when you describe them as the native people of India, correct?
This is Firing Their Hearts. Is that the movie you're talking about?
Fire in Our Hearts is part of a song they sing. I can't remember the statistic. It was something like 100 million people living in India.
Yeah.
I mean, something is staggering. My friend who was running a nonprofit in India is the one who told me about it. She said, there's a school for tribal girls. And I said, you mean Dalits, the untouchables? She said, no, Joyce, don't you know the tribals? I said, no, I don't. And I started reading about it. And these are the people who were the original inhabitants, who were like our Native Americans, just pushed away.
And what language did they speak?
Well, they're all over India.
Mm-hmm.
I got connected to this one organization that was in Maharashtra state, and they speak Marathi, Marati.
Okay. And and the girl, you found this remarkable girl, but circumstances in her life presented her with conflicts, age-old conflicts, correct?
This school had, when I was there, had about 200 girls starting the age of 5 through high school they were the first in their families to be educated. And their stories were all remarkable. Most of them had already worked on the most mean, on junk piles, whatever, just to earn 5 cents a day. And the family was persuaded in each case to send their daughters to the school. And I was emailing with a woman there who spoke English to help me select one girl that I could mentor. And this great young girl made this film. I hope you get to see it because it's very touching.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Are these still accessible? That one and My Beautiful Nicaragua, which you did?
If you go to, I don't know, go to bykids, bykids.org. And if you can't figure out how to do it, I'll send you links to it. But yes.
Yeah, we'll put links. We'll put the links in our show notes. I'm pretty sure I saw the one about the Nicaragua because everything that you were writing about.
Which one?
The kids who grow coffee.
My Beautiful Nicaragua.
Oh, Nicaragua, My Beautiful Nicaragua.
Yeah, and that's on PBS, right? That one made it independent.
I've done 3. I've done The Beautiful Nicaragua. The last one I did is about a young girl, Faith, who has cerebral palsy. Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. And that was shot not far from my home, so that was much easier to get to in Baltimore.
Right.
But again, I just learned so much about the world and feel so grateful that I could still work and make movies.
Oh, it's wonderful, just wonderful, and you're giving the gift of this.
All these different stories, each stories,
but also the gift of filmmaking to each child that you hand a camera to. Now they have a voice. They know that they can capture their family. Their story has meaning in the greater world. I wanted to know if you might have some advice for men in any kind of field in terms of how they can participate in the inclusion of all voices and all talents and all skills that maybe have some microaggressions that we don't all recognize, all of us, men, women, everybody. But how can men help in lifting up women to wherever they belong, wherever their talents might take them in whatever field?
Oh gosh, that's a huge question.
I know, but I just.
What do you think?
I think there's.
I'm going to interview you.
I think there's a lot of men who really do care and really do want to be a part of the solution, but they don't even recognize where they might be. Getting their feelings clipped and reacting in such a way that shuts the woman down, so that at the next meeting she doesn't say something because, her opinion hurt your feelings or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's human nature. Maybe it's not just male-female dynamics, but I think more of it is male-female dynamics than we're thinking about on the daily. But your career put you in these places constantly where you're thinking, how do I say this to this man so that he doesn't take it out on me and lets me have my creative voice and those types of dynamics.
It's testosterone poisoning.
Well, I mean,
Chris, what do you think? You're our male representative.
Oh no, I'm a bad example of my gender.
Well, there's one place in the book where you kind of talk about where you maybe put your foot wrong with Sidney Pollock, and
I
should.
Know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Louise, I knew nothing.
Yeah.
I lived in Connecticut, in the country. I made documentaries my whole life. I had no idea how to handle it. When I think back, after I made so many other films and dealt with all sorts of producers, I would have handled it entirely differently. As I write in the book, what set us off was he called me into his office. We were in pre-production for Smooth Talk. And he said to me, without any preamble, Joyce, you got to fire your cameraman. And I was so taken aback, I didn't know how to respond. So I bristled. And if he said that to me now, I'd say, oh, Sydney, what seems to be the problem? Tell me. I wouldn't say it in a condescending voice like that, but I would have tried to engage to find out. And then I'd say, didn't you see the movie you've all admired? No, I would have. It goes to your question. I guess the word is to listen. What's bothering him?
What matters to you?
What's going on here? What can we do together? Or
help me understand. Yeah. But, it felt like maybe at the age you were, it felt like he was saying something that he wouldn't say to a male director. You get to choose your cameraman. You're the director. So you're putting your feet down and saying, excuse me? Plus, you've got this person who you've told has this job, and now you're responsible for him. And it's just offensive on somebody.
And he went on to he went on to have a wonderful career. He was excellent. He died, unfortunately. But
you talk about your friendship. That was a really beautiful story.
Yeah. No, I had no idea how to handle him.
Well, Dina, our producer, has some thoughts. She's a 30-something female.
I'm 40.
Oh, she's 40, yeah.
Oh, you qualify.
So I don't have anything to say, but I do want to ask a question to Joyce. I kind of want to steer the conversation back a little bit to smooth talk. I just think it's one of the best movies ever made. And I'm saying that not to flatter or anything. That's honestly my thoughts. And you talk in the book a little bit about like the inspiration from Joyce Carol Oates' book, and that line when Mary Kay Place's character says, I look in your eyes and all I see is trashy dreams. That just I love that line. It'll stay with me for the rest of my life. It captures sort of that powerful dynamic between mother and daughter in this incredible way. And this isn't necessarily just about smooth talk, but if you wouldn't mind just talking a little bit to, you allude in the book, the challenges of taking something that is written as a short story or a novel, something that's written, and turning that into a visual, putting it into a visual medium.
I'm not the first to say this, but I've learned through experience, working with either a short novel or a short story is easier to adapt than, because I tried with Tom to adapt a very big novel, Theater Drives' Sister Carrie, which is, God knows, 800 pages. It was going to be a mini series, but even then, it's just too much. Joyce Carol Oates' story was very lean, but you just take a line like the one you're talking about. I look in your eyes and all I see are trashy daydreams. Or it starts, I think, a first line is, she was a familiar sight around the shopping mall, something like that. And immediately all these scenes appear in your head. And the job that I had with my husband, who was the writer, was to flesh out this world from just a sentence, just a hint from Joyce Carol Oates. And that was very productive. And that's sort of how it came about. Because Joyce Carol Oates doesn't create, you don't know where they live, you know nothing about them.
Mm-hmm. And you had to fill it all in. And that must have been rewarding.
It was. I say in the book, it was the happiest time of my life working with Tom on that script. Because again, we had American Playhouse producing and nobody to come and bother us. Right. Just let us alone.
Yeah.
So what about the storytelling difference between documentaries and feature, fiction films? I mean, I'm guessing here, but it seems like when you do a fiction film, like your husband wrote the script, and so you know the three acts and you know the beginning, middle, and end. But a documentary has to be left to its own momentum sometimes, and you have to let the actual events tell the story. Which do you find harder, and which is more pleasing for you?
I wouldn't really choose. I mean, in the ones like Girls of 12, which you were talking about earlier, there is no resounding, so many documentaries, the easiest format is an election. everybody's competing, blah, 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 and it ends with the night of the election. Or show is put on, and the films that I've done largely don't have that structure. They just sort of flow, getting a feel for life. They don't have any resounding ending because there are no conclusions to the kinds of films I made.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's a little scary in a way because you don't know what it's going to be. And so when I edit, I can't explain. I just sort of get a feel of maybe this scene should go with that scene. Well, Louise, you've done a documentary, which I haven't seen, but you must know what I'm talking about.
I feel like it's like making music. You have a feel for it. You understand the rhythms and the beats, or you don't. Or you don't. So it's I don't know that it's something that can be taught. Certainly a lot of the flow of story can be taught, but the actual editing of like, do I give this a moment to breathe before I lay in the next frame? Well, that I think is an instinctive, like a musical talent that you either have or you don't. How do you feel about that?
I might say this you're repeating all the points I might have made in the book. For some reason, I had an ability to do that. Right. And I don't know why. Right. I'm not saying I'm very good with camera. For editing, I just felt at home in it, Do
you have the same crew for all of your work?
No. Although I work most with Jim Glennon, who shot Smooth Talk, and who's the one that Sydney wanted me to fire.
It
still hurts, yeah. And I never.
You can't see me. No, sorry. I'm just gonna jump in real quick. You can't see me, but I'm behind the tech. I'm running the tech room and the Zoom and everything. I work as a cinematographer, and I'm actually shooting my first feature in December. I'm curious. I've shot a documentary feature. I've done dozens of shorts and things, but I'm curious if you have any advice for a cinematographer working with the director on a micro budget. It's like $100K feature, very small. We're it's based in LA. It'll be small, but I'm very excited. I'm curious what I don't know, your advice to a camera operator / cinematographer.
You've been an operator before?
Yeah. I came up as a first assistant, and then I did the operator.
Jim Glennon, James Glennon was an operator. In fact, that problem was that he was Sidney Pollock's operator on a lot of very well-known films. And what Sidney actually said, now that I'm remembering, he said, you got to fire Jimmy because he talks too much.
Oh, goodness.
And the crew and the actors loved Glennon because he talked. He was funny. He relaxed people.
Maybe Sidney wanted to be the focal point, and he found that threatening.
I don't know what it was, but then... But he had a habit of firing.
He wanted you to do what he couldn't do when he employed him. He didn't have the guts to fire him, so he wanted you to do it.
But what is, I think what Thomas is asking is like...
I want to give advice about...
Yeah, the relationship between what Thomas is doing and the director. Like
what Jim said to...
Yeah.
The most important thing, Jim is the one who taught me basically how to stage scenes. I'd never done a feature film in my life. I didn't know where to place how to do it, how to think about it. And he was a great teacher. But he said to me, just tell me what is the most important shot you have to get that tells this story mostly for you, is to make sure that in the rush of the day, we do that shot. Yeah. And that's how focus my brain around a whole bunch of things. But mostly just collaborate, just listen. It's the question, what do you advise men? Collaborate, listen.
I like that. Is there something that Thomas can get before you break? Like, is there something that a cinematographer can grab just so that you have it in case you need it? Like, while everyone else is leaving the room, or just like, I don't know, 20 seconds of footage that he could grab that would be good coverage to have?
I don't understand your question. Say it again.
Well, I'm not a filmmaker in that way, but I just know that in documentaries, like, you want to kind of like, I guess we call it spray the room. And you just want to, like, while you're there, you just want to kind of like, let's say I'm interviewing you and I've got my camera set up on you. Like, as everyone else leaves the room, I just want to get some more coverage Is it more limiting when you're working with tracks?
I mean, for this feature specifically, it's pretty much all handheld, and I think I'll bring some of my documentary knowledge into it in the sense that I will get those small in between moments that you don't, when you're shooting a documentary, you don't maybe set out to go get them, but you're shooting, maybe you're with someone in their house or their space, and you want to pick up, the flavor of their space. You have these, you can get inserts and things of small things in their space. I feel like I'm going to take kind of that approach to some of the scenes for sure. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's maybe what Weezy's alluding to focusing on is focusing on those small, intimate moments between things. Don't get lost in the shuffle.
Is there any way you could have a second camera? It would save so much time.
Maybe, but I like shooting single camera because it gives me more control. And in this scenario, I think I wouldn't be able to hire someone I trust with the right amount of money. You know what I mean?
Even if you, what if you never used it?
Even friends need money, though, unfortunately. But it's more about that control. My first feature, we've talked about 2-camera, and we just don't have enough money to do it the right way, in my opinion.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. But more so, I like the control.
You want the control.
Yeah.
Well, you would still be controlling it.
I would, but it's first feature, small budget. We're not going to have...
Okay, I'll stay out of it.
Yeah. We're only... I feel like we're budgeted for a solid 1-camera team. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Joyce. There are many fantastic film schools in the country, many of them right here. USC's film school, Chapman University now is a good one. Are there any that you've had experience with that women who are starting out should look to because somehow they've championed the role of women in filmmaking?
I know nothing about film schools. There weren't any when I started, and I've never taught. I honestly know zero. You know more than I do, probably. Because you talk to a lot of people.
Oh, is that right?
AFI in LA.
That's a graduate program.
But they're heavily focused on like elevating minority and female voice behind the camera. Yeah, they've got like a women's film festival and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you must be asked to speak often, and I know you talked about this in your book. You're not asked to speak very often.
Well, suddenly there are a bunch of some things because of the book, and my publisher reaching out to you. So,
well, I guess everyone wants to talk about Maryland because they're comparing your Maryland with.
Oh yes, I've done that. I did an interview with Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah,
yes.
I saw that. And I guess Maryland's like Princess Diana. We never tire of hearing more about her, right? Just
it's amazing. No, I almost didn't do that interview because I hadn't seen the movie and I wasn't going to see it. But then,
it's pretty shocking. I didn't make my way all the way through it because I couldn't. It was traumatized. But
why couldn't you? For what reasons?
I guess when I find that the content I'm watching on the screen is painful for the performers, or just something anguishing is going on, I get where I say to myself, I don't think I'm enjoying this. This is actually painful to sit through. But I understand what they were trying to do, and I will finish it. It's on Netflix. You can press pause and go back to it. But I did about an hour, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Marilyn.
So she cries one more time.
Well, it's more.
I'll tell you what, that girl's performance I thought was phenomenal, though. She was very good. She was very good.
It is a disturbing watch. So, I mean, as a kid, I would say, oh, yeah, if it's rated, PG-17, I know it's going to be upsetting, so I think I'll stay away.
Well, I have to tell you, the version of Blonde that I did from the same novel, when it was released, the actress who played Marilyn got rave reviews, and not everywhere, but I would say largely my movies were panned. And now people are looking and say, oh, that's not so bad after all. I think people have a very hard time portraying Monroe in any way. I think we shouldn't have adapted Joyce Carol's book. I'm serious. It's a fantastical book. Have you ever read the novel?
No, I haven't. But tell me why it's called a novel and where she was deviating from the truth and imagining.
Oh, she's imagining that she's inside Marilyn.
Okay.
And it has scenes that are just almost surreal. I mean, it's just, when you read it, you trust it because you know this is not the facts. You know, it's a takeoff on what that person, Marilyn, does she call, I'm not even sure she calls her Marilyn in the book.
Blonde
It gives her subconscious a voice.
That's right.
Oh,
But
okay.
Anyway.
I just found out the other day that the whole thing with the son of Charlie Chaplin and the
That's
son
all made up.
It's all made up?
That whole thing. But she was friends with both of those guys, but they just never got together in that triumvirate,
No.
right?
As far as I know, they hardly knew each other. It was convenient in the novel.
So yeah, I think a lot of people watch it and assume it's based on truth or based on someone's accounting of
And
the
in the
truth.
novel, you know, it's not.
Right.
I can't remember. I've read the novel 20 years ago. It was I had just finished it when the producer called me and said, I just optioned this book for CBS. Do you want to direct it? Oh, yes. You know.
Wow.
But
So is your version of Blonde available?
yes, it's available. I hadn't known it. I looked it up. It's on Amazon Prime. And I'll give you my experience. There's a free version, but don't choose that one because it's full of commercials.
Okay.
So pay the $1.95.
Sure. Exactly. That is a good
And you
tip.
can see it.
That's a strong
Yeah,
tip.
Poppy's wonderful.
Yes, Poppy
It's got some very fine actors in it.
Who was the Marilyn in your movie?
A woman named Poppy Montgomery.
Oh, I don't know her.
Do you know her at all?
No.
Yep, I've heard
But
of
now I'm going to watch.
Oh, yeah. So we're excited about your book, and you're going to go on
Thank you.
author.
There she is. There's Miss Poppy right there.
There she is. So how did it feel creating a book as opposed to creating a film? Was it as rewarding or more work or less work or?
It was more work.
Yeah.
I worked on it on and off for about 3 years, and I never meant to write a book. It was going to be a way to keep me busy during the pandemic. And I just kept writing, and I had no intention of ever publishing it. And it was when a friend read it, who's a writer, she said, oh, this is really worth pursuing, you know.
It's really, really good. I loved it. It's a great piece of work.
And it drops November 8th. You can pre-order it now.
Yeah, this book is just absolutely
Wow.
so captivating.
Thank
I really highly recommend it. You know, for every human. It's not just if you're interested in filmmaking or interested in women or women pursuing a male-dominated field. It's just a great book. So many wonderful stories, and you're just kind of we're your ride along. Dina, did you have?
Yeah, I just want to say that any film fan, anyone that is into movies, that is like considers themselves like a film person, just needs to read this book. I mean, it's like I think it's an absolute must.
Yeah, and I also think
thank you.
when you talk about the Hollywood film, you know, studio machinery or whatever, the way that how many people have to be in your corner for you to get anything done, it isn't uniquely problematic for women. It's hard to get anything made, I think. And so your book really describes that journey and how you have to get all your oars in the water and just kind of like keep rowing, because it's not we all watch things and think, oh, here's a new thing. It may have taken 27 years to bring it to the screen, like with Tyler Perry, as I talked about at the top of the show. Tyler Perry's new film on Netflix, he wrote that screenplay 26 years ago. That's how long it took for him to get it made. So it's difficult for everyone, isn't that correct?
Yes, and I think, the big lesson is have a producer who's with you, you know, who supports you in every way, you know, that you know. Mm-hmm. And that's the protector.
Then they'll get out of your way and let you make the film.
Well, because if you're directing, you got so many things to think about. You know, you got to decide on the props, on this, on that, and in addition to just figuring how am I going to shoot the scene that's coming up tomorrow. But they're the ones who deal with managing to make sure that everything is going to run well for you.
Yeah, protecting you so that the coast is clear for you to create.
But, you know, we didn't talk about television. You know, when I was saying
television, yeah.
When I directed my first Law and
Order? Yeah.
Law and Order.
Law and Order?
Special Victims Unit. I don't remember the year. Let's say it was 2002. I don't remember the exact year. As I say in the book, they had been running for 4 seasons, and they probably do 30 shows a season. They'd had maybe 2 women in all the 4 years, and they were, not very good, which was nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into a chainsaw. I had the same reaction. They just didn't want a woman on the set. Period.
Unless she's like the murder victim.
Exactly, the victim of the week. Yeah. God. The sex crime victim of the week.
That's dark.
I just remembered like that really interesting part in your book, Joyce, where you talk about when you were let go from the Bright Lights Big City project, and you were talking about how the press just like wouldn't let go of it because it was like they were trying to basically send out a warning, like this is what happens if you have a woman try to direct, a big feature film.
And they set you up to fail.
They're a nasty bunch.
They set you up to fail to prove whatever point they were trying to make.
But times are changing to a degree. There are more women directing features. Not enough by any means, but it's more than it used to be. And it's all in the last few years. There's been a huge change.
And you paved that way, and you've done such wonderful work, and a lot of your work was on TV Movies of the Week, and, telling all kinds of great stories that were probably seen by more people on television than would have gone to see them in a theater. So,
well, you're so. You have. I just know you have a copy of my book on your desk.
We do.
Thank you.
Dina,
you got an advantage. I only have 1 copy.
The only thing is we take 10% of the sales from by advertising.
Yeah, we will.
Oh, you'll get 20 cents.
Before we close, I think a lot of people who have never raised a girl might want to know about the American Girl universe that you stepped into when you made it, and I find it fascinating. So get us up to speed on American Girl.
Well, my agent sent me a script, and it's about an American Girl doll, and I thought it was animation, and I said, "Are you crazy?" And I had never heard of American Girl universe. Have you before?
I'll tell you something. In my daughter's home right now, there are $10,000 worth of American Girl apparatus, dolls, equipment.
Oh, they got the parents by the throat, and they are shaking money out of their pockets.
Do you buy it for them?
Yes, I'm totally guilty for it.
It's people like you who support all of that.
I know it's a horrible thing, and now I could use that money now. I know, but the marketing of that and the way they built the backstory on each of the dolls really engages young girls emotionally.
I had never heard of it, and I went to the library. I lived in a small town, and the librarian said, the girls come once a week with their dolls, and we talk about their story. Okay, for those who don't know what we're talking about, the dolls are based on historical periods, and the one story I had was about a girl during World War II and how that affected her life in the United States. Her papa goes off as a doctor. And there was so much to learn there historically. Mm-hmm. And for me, having grown up in that period was a pleasure. And I love working with young kids.
I think that aspect helps parents to get over their guilt at spending $200 on a doll because, my child's learning about the pre-World War II period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I would ask you, for instance, your daughter is now 20 or 21 years old, right? How does she know more about American history having owned these beautiful dolls and learned their stories?
I would say not.
Not.
No, it was for a moment. It was a flash of popularity, but these stores, they were like Apple stores.
It's not past tense. Go to Times Square.
Still are.
Yeah.
Or go to Radio City.
I'm out of that. I jumped out of that environment.
You escaped.
Yeah.
Now she has to feed her own habit. He's like, you're going to have to get a job if you're.
No, they're very expensive dolls.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but
I don't think I've ever talked this much on a show before, but I just have to say something about American Girl dolls because I was obsessed with them when I was a kid, and I'm an immigrant. I came to America when I was 7 years old, and I loved that there was these dolls that represented girls that were, some of them were immigrants to America.
That's
and that was like so. I mean, I was obsessed with that because I was like, finally, like something I can relate to. There's not a lot of stories like that in the media at the time.
Representation.
No, that's really interesting, and there are also diverse. I mean, they have girls of different ethnicities. It was
I want to tell you the best part about it. If you go to a American Girl store, probably online too, they have books for girls about how to manage your bank account, how to start a business, what to do when you get your period, which never, I mean, my God, there was nothing like that for us.
No, but they
Zero.
want you to start a business so that you can afford to buy more American Girl
Oh, you're
dolls.
so cynical.
But you're right. You're right. It's a lot of girls' issues are just sort of whispered. Come here, I'll give you a pad, and don't tell your mom I told you this.
We didn't know. It was called falling off the roof or something awful like that.
Oh wow, falling off
I'm
the
serious.
roof. We called it the monthly visitor or Aunt Flo. Aunt Flo was coming.
falling
over.
off
I
the
know.
roof. That's fantastic.
Aunt Flo's here. I can't go
I don't
swimming.
remember any of the others, in fact. We didn't talk about it. It was just so.
No, it
Can I
was
bring up-
whispered. It was
I'm
whispered.
sorry. I'm going to bring up something.
Yeah.
I don't. You're not for children, is you? There was a headline in the New York Times the other day in an article, and it said, "Half the people in this world have a clitoris, but nobody knows anything about it." Did you see that in the New York Times?
I didn't, but it sounds about right.
I love
No, it was fantastic.
That should
you
be your
learned
next
so
book.
much.
That should be your next
Well,
book.
then a
Joyce.
friend joked we're going to start a literary group who have been called the Clitorati.
Oh, the clitorati.
That's funny.
Wow.
Hey, so when you were doing the American Girl, I mean, were they leaning on you about the treatment? I mean, because they have a proprietary interest in
Yeah,
representing.
well, we had, no, not the script, but the sets had to be replicas of this girl that I did, Molly. We had to duplicate the look of her bedroom. Oh, Lord. No, maybe that was it, her clothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't mind because it was a joy to be doing it. And I loved the kids. It was like being back with my girls at 12. That's how old they were. Oh, they were about 12.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But it's one of my favorite films.
Yes, and people can watch. And what is your film called? The Molly story?
I think it's called Molly, an American Girl on the Home Front.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Da, 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 da.
So I'm sure we can find that. And I think there's a few American. They do a really good job with their films. I've seen a couple of them. I probably have seen this one.
It's got Molly Ringwald playing the mama.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, well.
Oh.
What is this now? Here we go. There's Molly. Yeah.
Aw.
No, those are other. Yeah, this is the girl here.
Oh, there she is. She
wins the contest.
She looks very patriotic.
Very well. That's that. Yeah, but it's. Yeah, I recommend this above all my other movies.
Okay, awesome. All right, that's what everyone's going to do. We're going to view that and then discuss it next week.
I don't know what these are. All these other American Girl. That's mine, but these are other.
It's
American
a
Girl
montage of
dolls.
American Girls. Okay.
Yeah, it's a whole
Yours is Molly.
to do.
All right. So when does your book come out? Can people pre-order it now on Amazon?
Yes, the publication date has been moved to the 22nd of November because they had problems with the whole supply chain business has affected publishing as well. So, but it's finally in the warehouse, but officially it's the 22nd. Now they can order it from either Amazon or Barnes & Noble or City Lights, the publisher.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I want to thank you, and I'm going to read our closing credits, and then we're going to take our picture with you.
It's a pleasure to talk to both of you.
All right, here come your closing credits.
fun.
Fritz and I have created a web hub to help you shop for gifts and save democracy in one fun move. Giftofdemocracy.com curates great swaggy merch from candidates and causes committed to protecting and defending our democracy. Fritz and I make no money here. We don't need it. We are not running for office this year. Our site is like a mall directory sign that points you towards the merchandise pages of worthy candidates and causes. It's the donation that counts. Democracy makes a great gift. Thank you so much for joining us. We would love to continue this conversation with you on Instagram and Twitter, where we are at MediaPathPod, and on Facebook, where our show page is MediaPath Podcast, and our Facebook group is MediaPath with Fritz and Wheezy Podcast Community. You can find full video podcast episodes loaded with bonus visual content on our YouTube channel, MediaPath Podcast. And you can write to us at MediaPathPodcast@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please give us a nice rating in the Apple Podcast Store and talk about us on social media. You can sign up for our fun and dishy newsletter at MediaPathPodcast.com. We want to thank our wonderful guests, Joyce Chopra and Jan Perry. Our team includes Dina Friedman, John Maddox, Sharon Bellio, Bill Filipiak, Thomas Hubble, Mason Brown, and you. Our theme music is by me and John Maddox. I'm Louise Palanker, here with Fritz Coleman, and we will see you along the media path.
Thank you so much, Joyce. What a great conversation.